I am now black-pilled on all sort of online politics in general, Twitch politics, just everything involving it, especially the online left, since I am a progressive-leaning person. However, I'm just gonna abandon that title in itself because it seems like it's just worthless at this point, right? There have been multiple instances where the left would just throw themselves on a sword, on a hill, not worth dying on, for the sake of appearing more progressive. Now, milder examples would be this abomination of a flag, like, are gay people not black? Are gay people not trans? What the hell is this? To the Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith scenario, where you got people defending Jada Pinkett Smith to their dying breath, even though Jada isn't the most defensible person on the planet. She has betrayed Will Smith in some instances where it's not even worth defending, yet they just are willing to do so because she's a black, bald woman who has a disability now. The left, in general, keeps giving up the narrative for no fucking reason. They keep getting lost in the absolute tiniest nuances that don't deserve any discussion whatsoever. I enjoy Vosh, but it's starting to get frustrating. Like, there was this one debate he had with Demon Mama where the whole conversation could have just been avoided if Vosh told Demon Mama, like, hey, you know, shit sucks. I don't agree with what you're saying, but I do understand that being harassed is bad. Just log off, go offline, it's gonna be okay. Talk to me when you're calm. And then if Demon Mama in that instance was just not as combative, that whole conversation wouldn't have happened, that bridge wouldn't have been burned. But the bridge has been burned for no fucking reason whatsoever. And there are multiple instances like this, not only with Vosh and Demon Mama, but just like in general with the left, period. There are people who agree on 90 to 99% of things, period. But the moment somebody says a thing out of line, out of color, the moment someone just doesn't look at you right, you are now a rival, an opponent worthy to be slain in the battlefield of social media. And it just seems exhausting. Like, having to keep track of all these factions to the point where, like, you can't talk to them because you tell them about him, then the XY gets to get, it's fucking worthless. Every time I would go on my Twitter account on this platform I have on here, I would just see people beefing with one another when 2 seconds ago they were just fucking friends. And again, it's over shit that they were just talking about normally. Now, this is a part of the reason why I'm black-pilled on the left in general, because they just have no cohesive thought. They have to be the outlier. They have to be the outstanding, perfect model citizen. Yet they want rehabilitative justice, but at the same time, even if you're being rehabilitated, you still can't be seen as a person who's willing to talk to everybody because you have a blemished past. It's like they want you to come join the left so they have somebody else who is worse than them so they can point back and say, at least I'm not that piece of shit over there who just joined the left 2.7 seconds ago. I joined 3.8 seconds ago, so I'm better than it. It's just a purity testing party. Everybody preaching on the soapbox. It is insane. I've been trying so hard, gritting my teeth and hoping for a better future with this, but it just does not end. It keeps getting worse. Everything just keeps falling apart. I would watch Xander Hall streams. I'm getting more into Bo Blacks as well. And I'm starting to see the, like, normal people and talking to people who aren't just strictly in the communist socialist box whatsoever. Because I'm not one myself, but we're talking politics. I didn't have anyone else to talk to outside of them because that's where I started essentially. And I'm starting to realize that a lot of things I would say to them would not translate to like 99% of the population because I had to like filter it through like 70 different layers and 70 different caveats to even get to the point of, oh, this thing's bad. Because I didn't want to offend anybody, because I didn't want to be misconstrued, because I didn't want to be misheard, because if I did any three of those things, and the thing I just mentioned before, I would be seen as an enemy. I would be seen as a bigot, a racist, a homophobe, a big, like, it's a waste of time. It genuinely is. We should be focusing on advocating what we should do for XYZ instead of trying to be perfect about doing XYZ, right? Because isn't a part of the reason, like, the left-leaning people, or even the left-leaning in general, is to understand that humans make mistakes and that we have to improve from those mistakes we made? Like, isn't the whole point of fixing the government we're in because it's a broken system, but we're gonna fix it for everybody? It doesn't, it's mind-blowing, okay? It's mind-blowing. While I do disagree with Destiny on a few things, a lot of things, you know, look at my channel, for example, I am slowly leaning towards my overall sentiment on politics towards his side of the camp. In the instance where I just want to take this political philosophy I withhold and try to tell as many people as I possibly can without sounding like I want to destroy society in the process, without sounding like I want to defend the USSR in the 1990s, without sounding like I want to jerk off Karl Marx, even though he's been dead for like hundreds of years. I want to sound like a decent human being who can actually do stuff, advocate for things that would be action happen in the near future. Originally, what got me into politics was I was watching Hasan in COVID, right? And I was learning more about America's history, more about geopolitics in general. Now, I wasn't using him as my main source, but I was using him to bounce off. I was watching other news channels, I was reading articles. I was slowly building up my catalog of background knowledge within the subject of politics, solely jumping off of Hasan pointing a few things out, right? That's cool, right? And then the further I learn, the more I start branching out, reading other content creators, watching other content as well, and I become a pretty well balanced individual. And then I started diving into Reddit communities to see more about the nuances. The drama's kind of fun here and there, but at a certain point, I start looking at specifically leftist jokes, leftist dunks, leftist political philosophy, and it's a very fixed mindset. Whether or not the person is confirmed bigot or not should be irrelevant. I don't understand why labels like this have to be such a concrete thing we have to hold on to retain our philosophy, and instead of attacking the points. We should be attacking the points, attacking people with these points instead of labeling them. Because if we just label them, we can just write off whatever they say without even having to challenge them, because they offend us, then boom, the biggest won't talk to them ever again. We should challenge them. We should understand why they think the way they do. If someone says, I hate black people, if I just call them racist and move on, then I will never find out why the fuck he thinks that way. And finding out why he thinks that way will be more helpful than just writing them off, because then I can understand why more people are turning into that racist person over there instead of just writing them off. It's this narrative of not wanting to confront or combat anybody who is labeled as a bigot that is causing the left to become a safe space is not what I want to look for, but that's one thing I can think of at the moment. Losing the whole appeal of what made this interesting in 2019 and 2020. The whole appeal of what made it interesting back then was that we had attacking anybody and everybody who challenged us at will. That was us. Hasan Piker was debating back then. You know, you got Destiny as well. And you got multiple other figures as well back then who just challenge people directly to their face constantly. Now, anybody doing that is seen as equivalent to the person they're challenging. Anybody doing that is fostering an audience that just wants to see people argue, even though the point of argumentation is to challenge your ideas and to further cement them and to understand why you even believe them in the first place. If you don't even challenge them with an actual person and you have to tailor your messaging so it doesn't sound like this fucking propagandist drivel, then you're just gonna be stuck, stagnant, and you're never gonna grow intellectually at all. And the whole point of this political sphere is to grow, is to understand more of the world, is to understand people's points. If you're stuck in this fixed conglomerate, you're never going to understand why the world is burning around you, because you just were too afraid to step outside of your grasp. After getting more involved in my community, this became apparent to me that I just can't, for the sake of me, rely on the online left to be my knight in shining armor. I have to go out there and do shit myself. I have to make my arguments myself. I have to understand why things I believe in are correct. And then I have to actually argue them with other people to hone my skills, to make sure I'm always on point every single time I'm addressed. Because if I don't, then what's the point of even having these beliefs in the first place? Now, again, I mentioned Xanderhall. I think Xanderhall, he said that a Gamergate 2 is happening, and I see it. I definitely see it. I go on TikTok. I'm an avid TikToker, and I'm seeing constant bombardment of reactionary content getting millions of likes. Some of them are just objectively funny, but others are just like explicit political and offensive. Now, mind you, the ones that are objectively funny blend in with the ones that are just political and blatantly offensive, because the main appeal to Gamergate, the main appeal to the skeptic arc that led the whole movement, was that while yes, we can get in your face about politics, at the end of the day, you can be whatever the fuck you want to be, comedy-wise, because we won't condemn you, we won't trash you, we won't tarnish you. You're all welcome, open hands. Are there some lines you can't cross? Maybe. Let's find out together. You know, hand-holding. Now, there are downsides to that mindset. Obviously, I don't have to fucking tell you that. But it's this thought process of not being focused on destroying what you have within, and instead of just branching out further and further. Doing that and focusing on that is what made the skeptic community grow, is what made the Gamergate grow. It is what cemented and furthered the philosophy of the whole ethics in game journalism and kept them going. Is because they weren't focusing on who is the more correct Gamergator, who is the more ethically critical journalist critic. It was focused on the targets they had, X, Y, Z, and that's what they kept going on. And if the left doesn't hone in and have targets to focus on, hone in, have goals, work together when they need to, and then when they have disagreements, just understand the disagreements are there, but still be together, mend the bridges, then we're just going to be open for attack. And let's be honest, I can't even remember the last time the culture wars have ever came into the left's favor at all. Every single time they fucking fail. Every single culture war battle they fail at. It's a nightmare. It's utterly a nightmare. The IShowSpeed stuff, the Will Smith slaps, like the very normie, almost non-political content. Like a lot of left-wing people fail at that because they're so focused on making sure that they want to be the least offensive thing in the room that they kind of skip over the nuances of what's going on here. Transports as well. The transport, these three things back to back, you know what I'm saying? It's just insane. I could even argue critical race theory as well. You know, I will argue that. I will argue that the left lost a narrative as well. A lot of the narrative with the critical race theory happening, bubbling, blooming at the time, was to give a 40-page exposition as to what critical race theory actually was, instead of combating it with the same fervent energy that was given to them in the first place. And if you have two options of, hey, critical race theory is poisoning your children, they're just trying to make white people bad, to, well, actually, critical race theory is a collegiate course that is solely focused on using the analytical lens of, like, who are you on the side with as a normal person on the internet browsing, curious about the subject? Like, it's not even a question at this point. These are very simple concepts. Like, just don't fucking Reddit and nerd out every single chance you get just because you can. You have to flex your knowledge like, that's one thing that pisses me off about watching this on, is whenever he had a chance to flex any knowledge he had on any subject, he would do it and drop an exposition on that entire, like he would just word salad an entire Wikipedia article on a definition he just looked up like a year ago, and he just remembered because he keeps bringing it up because it keeps coming up as a topic. And the thing is, like, that's cool. You're just filling in time that could have been filled in to a philosophical question why you believe that in the first place, instead of just spreading this nonsense, right? To cap it off, I want a final note. One of the main reasons as well as why the black pilling of the online left for me is a thing is because when it comes to content that isn't political explicitly, they have to view it in a nature where it is political. So therefore, the agenda of the content I'm viewing doesn't align with me politically, and I can't watch it, and I must critically be very against it, even though I enjoyed it or would have enjoyed it if I didn't look at it that way, that manner. It's like you're restricting your media analysis to solely look at it in a political sense and solely criticize it because you were politically against it. It's the most closed-minded, monkey brain way to look at anything. Do politics play a part in media that you partake in, media that you enjoy? Yes, it does. But if you only watch shit that you agree with, then are you truly watching it, or are you just waiting for them to say, and then I went BLM, Black Lives Matter, for you to actually engage with the content? You're just pre-watching content that you haven't watched yet because you solely pre-selected everything to fit your parameters. Is this my Wild Left video? Who knows? Might be. See it.